Hey
Now
guys,
what?
okay, now I'll introduce us. Okay, it's fine. We cut this. We cut this. We cut this.
So,
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Vive Check, a competitive Supervive podcast, the number one Supervive podcast in the world, if you ask me. With your hosts ChipSa, hi, Mohr,
Yeah.
and Treadzy.
oh,
So first, since it's the first episode, I figured we would introduce ourselves. What's our background? What games did we play before Supervive, etc., etc. How long have we been playing for? So I'll start with myself, since I'm the best. So I'm ChipSa. I used to be a professional Overwatch player. For like 6 years, I played the game. 7 years, maybe, I guess, unfortunately. Uh, and then before that, but after that, I should say, I played V Rising at a high level, if you can consider that a game that you can play at a high level, I suppose. And I've been playing Supervive for probably about a year now, I'd say. I think it was about 3 or 4 tests before the first EU test. So I don't remember. It was probably like August time, July time last year. I'd say I started playing. So Mohr, you go next.
Yep. I started off in OW as well. I was like semi-pro academy level, and then I went into Apex, and I was signed with Ghost, and then NRG. Played that for like a year. Been in purgatory since then, GG, and yeah, I
jeez.
started playing Loki last July.
Yeah, I guess I'll go. I have no competitive experience. I'm, I'm, I'm 10k hours Dota Immortal player, pub star. I played some pickup stacks. That's it, really. But yeah, I was Immortal. I was kind of the goat. I started playing like a year ago. I'm better than the other two people in the call at Project Loki.
GG.
What's Project
I'm
Loki?
just it's Supervive, and I'm just a full time beast, really.
Well, I'd like to say, who's the highest rank of the three of us right now?
Yo, I didn't play. I didn't play.
Uh huh.
Pipe down.
Yeah, I didn't play. I didn't play at all.
Ah, these excuses, eh? That's
No,
unlucky.
yo, hey, who gave you an extra hour? Type shut.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it
true,
was an extra
true.
hour on NA, so it's actually detrimental to my rank one
Uh,
chances. So,
okay,
and we
my
didn't get an
bad.
extra hour on EU, so it's fucked.
All right, ranks for later, boys. Ranks for
Okay, okay.
later.
So, we'll start off again. This first episode, outlining what the podcast is going to be about and what's the like main aim of the podcast. So, I'd say we're focusing more on the like competitive side, I guess, the esports side. Hopefully, that there is an esports scene in the game because I feel like we all want it to be an esport game. Oh shit! I need to put streamer mode on my Discord. Fuck. 1 second. I'm getting spammed.
Wait, just
Definitely
do
not
just do not
Scott.
disturb or whatever. Oh, that
I just
works too,
enabled
I
streamer
guess.
mode.
Yeah.
It's fine. Sorry about that.
Jeez.
This is all part of the process, you know.
No, you just cut that bit out. It's
We just
Jar.
cut it out. So, okay, I'll start
Leave
again.
it in.
So, let's outline the podcast, what we talk about from week to week, and what's the main aim of the podcast. So, I'd say like the main aim is like focus on the competitive side of the game of Supervive and the esports scene. Like, hopefully there will be an esports scene, and hopefully it'll be a good one. And we're sort of focusing on how the game is played at the highest level and like what changes they can make it more enjoyable at the highest level. That's what I'd say the main thing we want to do on this podcast is.
Yeah, I'd
Yep.
agree. I think right now, kind of talking more about grassroots and what's going on and what we want rather than what it is. There's not a lot outlined.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so I think Mohr really is the only one who has any competitive experience in BRs before. So I guess this is probably the best topic for you to talk about. Like, what's your thoughts on competitive BRs? You know, what's the best format? What's the best way to do a rank system, etc., etc. What's your thoughts?
I think rank system is like the hardest for sure. I think that one's like pretty untapped. I think Loki's gonna have to come up with something like really new, innovative. Because I just think like Apex system works, but I just think you could do better. I just don't think anybody's like found that right.
What's wrong with Apex's system?
Well, the problem is like I've talked to Buddha about it a lot too, right? Because he came from Apex, he's familiar with the system. But the thing with Apex is like the ranking from like the bottom to like masters is perfectly fine, super good. Like it works for every casual player, everybody that wants to like feel that sense of like I'm climbing a ladder. It's really good. But once you get to the top end, like your 750 pred, or say you're a couple thousand players underneath that, it's like it's just this never ending like battle of who can play more, I guess, throughout the day, right? So it's like if you're going like 14 hours and they're going, like eight, they're just never catching up realistically. They're just never going to get that spot unless, the other people just plunder and have like a horrible day or whatever. But if you're consistently playing like a ton of hours and you're already ahead, it's really hard to either fall or you know what I mean, get higher than you are. It's kind of set in stone after like the first week if all those players continue playing. So I think that's like a really annoying thing because it doesn't matter about stats or like win rates as long as you're like consistently like just playing for points. You kind
How
of
do you
just
fix it? Just make the rank cost
uh
exponentially scale?
yeah, there's that, which is what they did, but it only fixes it for so long, but it fixes it long enough to where like you can have a season that's like healthy because they did it in like I think it was season 12 or 13 of Apex, and I went back and I played that season and I thought it was a ton of fun because like the higher you went in pred or like above masters, the more the ticket cost was. So it's like it got to a point where everybody was around the same, but like
Yeah,
it
but
was
is that
still
not the
like
problem? There's like
better.
a line still that's like.
Yeah. There was still a line, but that was the best like solution that they had yet. And so that was like okay, but I don't know how they want to do it with Loki, and I don't know the right, you know what I mean, like the right answer, but I think it can be changed from what it was because I don't really think the system is that good. But
Well, I think the current system, like you said, is the same. It's like it's just who
yeah,
plays the most. That's all it is.
yeah, it's
Like if
just
you miss one
but we're
day, there's no chance in hell you're ever getting into the
no
top 10.
chance, yeah.
Like the
I
reason
mean,
why, like I think everyone in the top 10, including me and stuff, we just literally played every single possible second of every single test that you possibly can. So, and
yeah,
as long as you're not losing games, which obviously everyone loses like -10 and -15 games, but like almost every game you're like at least like +20, and it's basically it's impossible not to as long as you're not playing like shit. You're just
yeah,
eventually just going to keep climbing. It's just who plays more, which is definitely not what you want. Then the flip side, you don't want to have a system where it's like way too hard to gain rating that you're almost disincentivized from playing altogether if you want to keep your rank. So I think you're right. Like it's really, really hard to make a battle royale rank system actually function because of those like two major issues that there is. But I guess really for the competitive side, ranked is not going to be the end all be all. Fingers
I
crossed.
mean,
It's just going to be in most games. It's not right. Like it's just sort of a something that you get to grind and then you move on to like a pro scene.
is
mm-hmm.
BR ranked not like I don't want to call it a meme because it's not
Yeah,
entirely
it's
a
a
meme.
It is a meme.
It's
Yeah, it is a meme.
But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there's so much like luck or whatever in BR anyway, or like you can just get greased by some guy. Like, if you stream or something, it's even worse, right? Because some guy just snipes you because
yeah,
this guy's got 1,000 viewers. Man. Just go kill him. Like,
Classic.
kind of is BR competitive? Like, also, I know it's not completely like. I don't want to call it a joke because it's not. But BR is comp compared to like CS or like Valorant or like Overwatch, right? Which you've both played. Is it not a lot more like? I don't know the right word to describe it. I'd say like dishonest, but that sounds kind of weird.
dishonest.
Like it's not
I mean,
straight up.
it's a different type, It's like you view it differently because it's just not the same. Like it's not like the factors aren't consistent or whatever. This isn't consistent. There's a ton of RNG. People say it's like I wouldn't say it's like a joke. It's definitely like I think people don't view it as like strongly as they do like something like Overwatch or CS or Valorant or something, right? Where you have a lot of things that you control, and I think a lot of players like that a lot more, right? But I don't know. I think competitive VR definitely has some kind of appeal to it. Like I just think the end games, like for me in Apex, why I loved competitive Apex was like the end games are just fucking juice. It's like there's just so much going on and fucking everybody screaming like adrenaline rush. Like that shit is fun, and that's not something you get like. That's like something you get like I don't know, like an Overwatch. It's like a game 5 or something. It's like there's just different ways that they like compare, but I don't think it's like a joke by any means. But I'd put it lower on the totem pole of like seriousness, I guess.
You have to be like it's kind of gambling sometimes though, right? If you know what, like you can go with an educated guess, but sometimes you won't make
Yeah.
a mistake, but you just gambled wrong, right? And then you lose.
Well, I think at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, like you don't want to conflate the competitiveness with like randomness, right? Like BRs are always going to have randomness involved. Like this
Yeah.
is the nature of it, right? But even card games, or like they have randomness in them, like Hearthstone, or like even like stuff like poker, which is a very high skill game. Still, at the end of the day, like it has a degree of
Yeah,
randomness to it, and that doesn't make it really less competitive. I think it's well, I mean, it's a weird one for sure. Like I could definitely see the argument. Like if you're like a purist, you just want like who's the best. Like a game like CS or League or whatever is going to be much much better at defining that because there's just way more factors you can control. But I still think BR is can be competitive to some degree. I also think it's as a viewer experience, it also might end up being better because of the sort of there's more like crazy twists that can happen. You know, like in like a league game, like like the Korean team is going to beat the NA team every time. Like there's no point even watching it. Like it's going to happen. But in a BR game, like anything can happen. You can get some crazy ass
Well,
games and crazy ass situations that can be really enthralling. I also just think with most competitive BR formats, you end up playing like 20 games over a LAN, right? Which then I think can also be a
yeah.
bit draining for a viewer. So
Also the player.
yeah, the player as well. Yeah, sure. But I think the viewing experience can definitely get lessened by that. But then at the same time, you just want to have like one game where it's just oh wow, like oh shit, like we landed on the perfect spot and we have the perfect setup and we just win for free. Like that's
I mean,
that's also something you don't want to have.
I think Apex is a pretty good viewing experience, right, for a BR.
Yeah, I think it probably has the best out of. I think like if you look at the few, I guess like I'm not gonna consider Fortnite because that game's like a fever dream. But like between like PUBG and Apex, where they're like purest BRs in my
Yeah.
mind, uh, like PUBG is more of the like play as many games as you can kind of format, where like probably the best team will win every time, and then Apex is like the match point format. I think this was like super huge for like BR esports and like the viewing part of like Apex. I think it's what like really made it take off, or why it's so interesting to watch finals.
So what
Like
what is the match
live
format for
finals for
those who
serious.
don't know?
So match point is like there's like a point threshold of like 50 points, and so technically the games could go unlimited, but once you hit 50 points, you have to get a win to win the tournament. So like once you hit that 50-point threshold, uh, like there could be like 10 teams at it, and whoever hits it first is like the winner of the tournament. Like so you have to win the tournament, you have to win a game, right? So it makes it more like exciting and you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
high tense, like as the games go on. That's it.
it's like anyone can, even though one guy's ahead, anyone can still come back. But also as a
Yeah.
player, is this not kind of cringe?
That'd be
If I'm
so
at this
tilting.
point,
Imagine you got 50
Yeah.
points, the next
you
is like
know
20
who I
points, you
am.
just keep getting second place, second place, second
Yeah.
place, and you lose.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
even that. You know I drop X spot or whatever, and
Yeah, you can get
the
griefed
two or
for
three
sure.
teams around me know that's me because
Mm.
they know who your team is, right? So they're not going to let you play, not play for free, because no one's going to let you play for free anyway, right? Because it's BR. Like you said this to me before, everyone's a cocksucker, right?
Yeah.
If they can grief you, they're going to grief you, man.
course.
But now you're going to get like especially griefed, right? So
Well,
I
yeah,
see it being fun
what you're
for
saying is
viewers.
like there's times where it's like you don't really care about winning, you just care about them not winning because
Not
then
winning,
you
yeah.
still have a chance, right? That's kind of one of the issues with that format. So I see what you're saying there. That could be
But
I can
I
see
could
us
see
getting
this
turbo griefed.
working in
But
Apex, but do you think this
yeah,
format would work in Supervive?
I mean it can, but like so you have to be like willing, right? When it first came out, it was like conversations we had. It's like you have to be willing once you hit that match point. It's like, do you switch comp? Do you switch skins? Do you switch drop spot? Do you like how do you play it differently so that the lobby cannot read that it's you, right? It's like it's kind of cool. I think it's like another like level to it, you know. I definitely like know the oh wow they can just fucking grief this team and the tournament can keep going, but like it's pretty hard. Like Apex is a lobby of 20 people, so it's like, realistically pretty hard to like make sure that it goes perfect. Like if you try to fuck somebody, like somebody else will end up fucking you, and it just becomes like a clusterfuck. So people typically just stay on their game, and like late game they try to watch like they try to notice like okay, well this team is on match point. Where would they be in this circle? And they try to like narrow that down. Is kind of more of the thing, right? Because there's no names. You can only see when
It's like
teams die in kill
Valkyrie
feed.
27456 or whatever.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know. I think it's pretty cool, and I think it's the only way that makes the viewing like the viewership like good or like peak. So I think it's kind of needed for BRs, but that's just my take on it.
I
Okay.
think as a player, I'd prefer points. As a viewer, I'd prefer match
Yeah.
point system.
I mean, I'd say the same thing, but I just think like realistically, you're playing for you want the viewership to be good because
Well,
it just increases everything. So it's
I
like
feel like in this game, in Supervive, it feels it's probably easier to grief people than it would be in Apex, I would imagine, right? With a much longer TTK,
probably
much more like sort of I don't know how to explain it, but much more like macro decisions that you can do that like I feel like it's probably like with all the powers and the campfires and the nukes and shit like that, like you can just grief the fuck out of
Yeah,
teams if you really
if
want
it's
to, and
five
you're just
Yeah.
gonna
teams
like
on a zone,
you're just gonna suicide bomb
I'm
them pretty much every time, right? You're just gonna
yeah.
run it down on them, and then you're both
Yeah.
gonna get third party, but like you're fine with that, you know?
Or your Huntressy and Flonade and whatever else you're gonna chuck out at teams around you. You're not gonna look at everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be
Just
looking for the one.
every
But I
Kingpin
think
hook.
like ideally, like when this game is like actually competitive and there's lobbies, like they do a very good job at like hiding people. Like I've already said, like I saw something that people do the other day, and I thought it was turbo fucking cringe. Like people take a screenshot of the colors, like what team is what
Yeah,
colors.
yeah.
And, like, puts it- I was like, bro, that is the slimiest shit
Nice.
ever. Like I never thought of it because like I just think it's super dishonest. But
No, I've always had that. There's like one good team in your lobby, and it's a red team. You just look where they drop, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
fucking kill those guys, and it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
over. Like it's just free.
I was gonna say, I think even like for like when it's actual competitive, I think colors should be off. I think
Yeah.
like I think names, colors, like it just make it like literally
I need
so like
colours.
hard.
So I can
I
on
know
the
colors help,
mini-map.
but I think competitively, it's probably for the best because like then you have no idea of like who this is or what grief or like who to grief or
But
whatever.
why
And I
can't
think
we
it makes it.
randomize the colors between games?
I mean, I think
I mean,
you, I
you
think
could,
you can
but-
randomize the colors. I don't know. Like you just
Yeah.
can't show the names, right? Like if you can't
Yeah.
associate the names with the colors. And
Well,
like
you
you
can't show
said,
hunters either because like for example, like I'm the only fucking human in the game that plays this flow. So like if you look and you see like, oh wow, Team Yellow has flow,
Yeah.
we know that's my team. You know what I mean? So
but there's
it's
no real fix to that, right? Like I don't see how you'd ever
Yeah,
fix
there-
that
yeah.
unless you
yeah,
Nico clone everyone, you know? Like that's wouldn't
Yeah.
really.
But it's
Yeah,
more
so that's what I'm-
readability on the map. Like if I see fucking 10 people around me, how do I know
Yeah,
who's
you
on
know,
what team?
Yeah, you're right.
I agree, right? But I just think it's the best way. Like you can make colors, but you have to like just take off that like hype.
Well, am I crazy? The game didn't used to have colors, right? Back in the day, or am I crazy?
I didn't play that far back if it did, but
Probably not, because you probably
I
played
I
as
think
well
it
like as
creates
me.
a lot of chaos, and it's like a new kind of thing to the game, and it might be good and it might be bad. It's something I just want to test in like a competitive environment. I think it could be good, but
Okay.
it definitely makes decisions a lot harder about like, do we want to fight this? How many teams are around? Like, do we know? I think that's kind of cool because it depthens it.
I kind of hate how that's part of the meta though right now. Like the meta is to like, you're in a game, you know what team is this color or whatever. Even in just pubs, it's like, this team is yellow. It's us and them, and realistically, the 8 other teams in this lobby probably can't win.
Yeah, they're
Is it
just
such a
glorified
skill gap?
minions, right? Like that's all they are.
Yeah.
No disrespect. But I see
That's what it
Triple's
is.
team. Get 'em.
How do you feel about the meta right now? Like the characters, the powers, playstyles, stuff like that. What do you think's strong? What do you think's dog
Is
shit?
there a meta?
Is there a meta?
I don't know. It's hard with like how limited like tests are. So last test was 8 days. Probably the most we've ever played in like one sitting, right?
Yeah.
So like I think if we were to have an idea, it'd probably be from this test. What's strong? We know this Brawl character is outrageous, and this Joel
Maybe
character
let's
is-
separate it between pubs and what we think would
And
be
comp.
good in a competitive
Okay.
environment.
Then we do like a comp like top.
I think we do
characters, or,
pubs
like-
first.
Okay, pubs
Yeah, I'm down.
first.
Well, pubs
We already
S
said
tier,
Ronan and-
triple S tier,
Brawl,
Brawl,
Jewel.
Shiv, Jewel.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think Aluna is like pretty S tier in pubs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luna is pretty good in pubs. Yeah.
And then let me have a little look at all the characters real quick.
This myth character is turbo.
Yeah, Myth's
Yeah,
really strong, but I think
KP
she's
character-
less good in pubs than she is in show matches.
Pubs.
But she's still really good
I
in
think
pubs.
KP is good in both.
I think
I think
KP's
he's-
better in show
yeah,
matches
I know.
than pubs. KP's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I think
he-
my opinion on KP is like he's really OP at like really low levels and really OP at really high levels. And I think he's like super mediocre in between. I think this KP character is like disgustingly OP. Like that's my.
Yeah, I do too.
I think this character, especially when you get like 5 squads in a tiny circle in show matches, like I think this character just provides infinite value because you have to land 1 in 10 hooks and all of a sudden you win the game.
Okay, where are
Yeah.
you putting him for pubs? Like pubs, he's pretty average, right?
I mean, yeah, he's probably like A, B tier somewhere like that. Like he's fine, but
Low
like
A,
he's
probably.
not really a character who can like snowball a game, right? Which is what you want in pubs. You want characters that just go in and just kill everyone.
I think everyone else is like legit AB, apart from the 4 or 5 we mentioned before. Like,
Well, I
don't
still
know,
think
I'd
I still
even
think
say-
Celeste is pretty close to S tier in pubs.
in pubs.
I just think Celeste is
can
Yeah,
put her
first.
up
I mean,
there.
she just guarantees that you live forever.
Yeah,
right?
like, she's just a
Like, good
ridiculous
engage
character.
guarantees that you have somebody to play out.
Celeste is a
Can't
character that's
usually.
like she's not even tuned that high right now compared to I remember like 2 tests ago, two or three tests ago, she was just like
Did
the
so
damage she was
much
doing was just
damage.
outrageous. Like
Yeah, yeah,
she was just one
ridiculous.
shotting your ass. Right now, like her damage is like super reasonable, and yet she's still like picked in every team comp in show matches because she provides infinite utility with her ult and a wall.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
peel,
she has
engage,
the best abyss control in the
disengage.
game. She has the best like she's the only ult in the game that really like truly denies like a space. She has wall, which is like one of the best utility abilities in the game. She has really good 1v1. Like she has everything you ever want in a character.
I
And,
mean,
and
if
there's
we were
there's
to
no
look
character
at a
that could do
comp
what she
tier
does, right?
list, she's the highest for me. I would put her at like S plus and
In show
only her.
matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Like I think she's not as good as I mean she's obviously not as good as she was the last patch just because she got nerfed. And I think the nerf they did at the start of the test didn't actually go live, like where you can't cancel your ult
Hmm.
early. I think that would be a pretty significant nerf.
I think that's a really bad nerf, though, in my
I quite
opinion.
like it. I think it's fair. I feel like having this mind game of like when the freeze is going to cancel her ult is not healthy for the game. Like
I
being able to
like that
cancel before it
interaction.
explodes, I think is fine. But like having this like 0.5 second window where she can explode early or can she explode late, I think is like there's basically no counterplay to it, right? It's like a mind game on an ult that already provides so much. So I think it's like a perfectly reasonable change that
Okay,
they
but
can make
the
to.
problem is, if you make her finish it after, and you're locked in, right? Everyone's just gonna spam shit under the freeze, and her ult is gonna become so utterly useless.
Nah, dude, come on. There's no way. Even in that situation, the ult's still OP as fuck. It's just like it has counterplay, right? Which is fair. Like
I mean, I just think you're volunteering to kill yourself half the time
yeah,
when you
but
just
but,
are.
but the thing is, if you do a freeze ult in like an idiot, right?
Yeah,
Then they can punish you straight afterwards because they know when you're going to come out of the freeze ult, right? Like it's like a void shift. You know when he's coming out the void shift, so you can punish him, right? Like
yeah.
that's part of the counterplay of the ult. Like you take that away from freeze, her ult's still probably like top three ult in the game. Like it's still really OP. It just you have to be slightly better at the game to use it. You're going to get punished for using it badly, which in my opinion is like something that the game is lacking. Like in certain characters, like Brawl for instance, just to get into the start of the brawl rant, like the fact he can put his grapple on you and he doesn't need to do anything. He doesn't need to ride it. He doesn't need to do anything, but you know he can, right?
Also,
Put
last
so
10
much pressure
seconds.
on you. Like where Shiv throws her dagger, like obviously there's currently a bug where you can not choose to TP, but let's just ignore that because it's a bug. Like you know when she throws that dagger, she has to take that dagger at some point. So you can play around that. You know that. Void Shift, you know he has to take that TP. And that gives counterplay to abilities that like you can't just throw them out willy nilly. But Brawl's E, just toss that shit out, and if it
Yeah.
hits, you can go in, you can not go in. And by the time the E expires, is back up in like 3 seconds. Like, I really dislike those sorts of decisions where like even when you play use an ability badly, you don't get punished for it.
I mean, you will get punished for it. I think most of Frieza's kit is like most of her engage and like her having her cooldown or not having her cooldown is big. If you watch her waste the spell already, and she uses it poorly, uh, it's very easy to fight. Like if they use their cooldown and you save your cooldowns, that's her biggest cooldown. You know what I mean? It's gone now. Whereas if you make her use it just to die half the time, because you're just going to put Assault R under it and watch her burn. But how is that interactive for the player playing the other character?
Well, that's a counter. That's a counter, right? Like in theory, Assault R should counter Freeze Ult, right? Like that's something that should be in the game. Like there should be counters in the game. Um, like it's the same thing. Like if a void shifts into me and I haven't playing void, I'll just pop my R where his thing lands and he's guaranteed like dead. Like he's just dead for sure. That's part of the game. I think the fact that Freeze could just cancel ult slightly early or hold it late and gives like that mind game, I think is just like makes the ult a little bit too strong. I really don't think. Well, I mean, it's funny, right? Because when Blixman first started playing Freeze, he didn't even realize he could cancel the ult
He didn't
early to
even
blow it
know.
up. So he was playing like it was like that wasn't even a mechanic because he didn't realize it. And he
I
was
mean,
still getting tons of value.
I think people don't counter the character effectively. Like there's a lot of stuff you could do to counter the character. Like they added knockback to a lot of stuff. You could use Sandwall, you could use Freeze Wall, you can condemn it with Huntress R&B. Like I think when people get more used to playing, that her ult will get worse.
I
I mean,
kind of think
sure.
her ult's fun. I think like the only areas that it's like problematic when you can pop it are like void freeze TP or like crazy like interactions where you like hover wing fucking dash through a ring
Yeah.
across the map and like you appear on their screen at point one and explode it, stuff like this, right? But feel like usually the player has went through something. Well, okay, the Void TP one is dishonest, but like the other versions of it, I think it's like pretty fair. Fine. If you can't get out of it in like 2.5 seconds, I just fucking killing, right?
I just
I
think
think
in a
Void Freeze is
competitive
fine.
environment,
I'm an abuser.
which is what we're kind of looking at here, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, this change. And I just think it's strictly worse for the player. Because, like, if you're going to avoid freeze anyway, anyone that's played the game for long enough or you're hoverwing's ulting in, they're going to see it coming. So it's not as cheesy. When you do it in pubs, right, and you've jump padded 4 years in the sky, and there's 4 little Timmies on your screen, and they see Jesus flying across their screen, and you pop it on them, right? Then it's not cool. But I mean, little Timmy doesn't play the game, so little Timmy doesn't know what the fuck. Or they try and run away, and you just keep chasing them because you have hover wings on. Whereas if they just run towards you, you know. I'm watching this guy check his Discord.
I had 7 notifications. Okay, it's just triggering me a little bit. I mean, the question is like, what would you do to compensate freeze then? Oh, Celeste, I should say.
I think she needs longer. I think her wall being so low, like such low of a cooldown, is crazy. Still, I also think.
Do you max the wall?
No, I max her R&B right now, but I think even 2 points is crazy low cooldown. I mean, I just think she needs longer. She just needs bigger punish windows. Like her ult and her E cooldown should be way bigger. You shouldn't be able to throw wall twice in a fight, in my opinion. It should be, if a fight is like, you know, like let's say 30 seconds or whatever. I think you should, like, the wall should be like a 22-second cooldown level 2 or something.
Well, okay, so this gets on to another question. Do you think, like, in terms of the item balance, do you think, like, CDR's OP? Do you think mana's OP, etc.? Like, what do you think about the items? Because I feel like one of the issues you have with Celeste is that you play, like, Tech Helm, Tech Blade on her, and her ult is, like, 20-second CD. Like, it's really, really OP.
It's not that low.
Wow, you get my point, okay? 21 seconds,
I mean, generally, you're not ulting twice in a fight anyway, right? If you ult again, it's because you got reset off killing a team, and then you got your ult back. So,
well, I mean, it's not just the ult, like it's the principle of the dash and the wall and etc.
I mean, CDR's OP on everyone, right? Like it's CDR. Like if you compare CDR to Omnivamp, which sucks, mana, which you don't need on freeze, Quick Blade, which doesn't matter on freeze.
Oh, I mean, but I'm just talking in general. I'm not just talking on freeze. Like
in general. Well, I mean, in general, it's really hard because it's very character. Some people need mana, some people don't. Like,
because my mentality, I think, like, I mean, loads of people talk about this, like, so long, like the mana system. Like, I don't think the mana system is good because on certain characters, it just feels so uncomfortable to not have a mana item. And honestly, like most characters, especially when you play like just pubs, like, it feels, to me at least, it feels really uncomfortable to not run a mana item. And I feel like the value you lose for not having a second item is just not enough to compensate how uncomfortable it feels. And I feel like, especially like Omnivamp, like needs like a mega buff. Like that shit is so useless. It's ridiculous. Like, no one ever takes Vamp Blade because it just doesn't do anything compared to the movement speed of the CDR or the mana, right?
I mean, I don't take Mana Blade on like I'll say I played Myth, Celeste, and I was playing a lot of Void, and I take Mana Blade on none of them.
You don't take Mana Blade on Void?
No, I Quick Blade, Tech Blade.
You're a criminal. You're a criminal, actually. That's actually criminal behavior. These two shifts your room, like you have to have Mana Blade on Void. Like
no,
Celeste and Myth, I can understand, but like Void, like you're a troll if you don't run Mana Blade.
I think you have enough mana for one fight in you, and if you
but
you get the mana reset.
Yeah, but that's tons of ifs, right? And the value you get is an extra like 20 movement speed. It's not worth it.
Yeah, but you're telling me you don't have 2.5 seconds to pop a food.
Yeah, but there's times you can't do that, right? Like the thing with mana is that there's situations where it comes up where you're in a long elongated fight and you just don't have the mana to keep that fight up, and then all of a sudden you're dead, right? Those situations happen like relatively frequently.
Sounds like poor resource management. It sounds like a skill
maybe,
issue.
but especially on a character like Void who's super mana hungry, it's just troll to not run the mana item. Like being able to avoid that situation from ever happening is like so OP. And the risk reward, like the risk reward, you like the opportunity cost, I should say, of using a mana item rather than like a Omnivamp item or a Quick Blade is just not. It's just literally negligible in comparison to having infinite mana.
On Void specifically, though, I'm generally using all my abilities at once and one. But like, if I want to kill someone, it's not normally slow. It's 100 to 0, so I'm using everything at once, and I don't need a Mana Blade. Mana Blades to sustain me throughout a long period of time. Is how I would see it, right? But
Casual Void player.
yeah, if I'm just gonna go one like abduct this guy in, I'll pop my E, right click, whatever. I have enough mana to do all that once anyway. Why do I need to do it twice? The guy's dead. He's on the floor.
Well, what if you fuck it up though?
Yeah, but I won't.
Ah,
Put
okay,
on
fair
the
enough.
goat.
Fair.
If I
Put on
fuck
the
it
goat.
up, it's on cooldown anyway. So what do I need my mana for? I've just used all my spell. I just eat food while it's on cooldown, and then we go again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Trying to think about items. It takes pretty similar. It's like, if you need mana item, you need it. I don't think it's like OP. I just think some characters like default mana is just fucking horrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Flows is like or Zeph, my bad. But like this character without a mana blade is not playable.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
I think CDR, I can't tell. I wouldn't say it's like broken. I think it's good. I just think it's like out of the current stats in the game, like because they all give AP or the equivalent amount of AP, so it's kind of just the best, right? Like default, Tommy is shit, and I think move speed is good, but I don't think it's comparable to CDR.
Well, I
So
think
it's
it
kind of
depends on
just
the
like,
character you play. Like a character like Shrike
Yeah.
doesn't really get that much value from Tech Blade, right? Like having extra CDs when almost all of your value and utility, like all your value, just comes from the fact you just left clicking people, right?
Yeah.
I think Quick Blade's better because it allows you to WASD harder, allows you to win fights more.
You can have 2 items.
Yeah, but then you also run. I mean, you also would again run a mana blade
Okay.
on Shrike as well, right?
Yeah.
Because like the thing
You
is
need a
as
mana
well,
blade
right?
on
If
Shrike?
you don't run a mana blade and you play a style where you run across the map a lot, right? Not being able to use your shift to run across the map without fear of like running is just not worth it. I think it's like so much more comfortable to run it. Like I just think like mana costs, like mana being in the game. If they want mana in the game, it should be tied to characters that are like spellcasters / healers, right? Like the supports and characters like Void needing mana, I think is like super reasonable because they're ability-based heroes. But characters that are primary damage sources, their auto attacks, shouldn't really ever need a mana blade and shouldn't ever have mana problems. Whereas I feel like they do. Like if you play
Okay.
aggressively and run across the map, you don't play like a pussy like you, then you need a mana blade, right? You just run
But if we don't give Brawl mana, I will never catch him.
Well, but I'm not talking about. I didn't say remove mana. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying that like you don't remove mana as a system. You
You
just
need
make the
a
mana
item.
cost of the characters less.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, Brawl is like we could get into a different discussion because Brawl's issue is not his mana. Like it's the fact that every time he has RMB, he flies 20,000 miles, and he has 3 dashes on top of that, and he has this E that is a dash. So like Brawl, like you
And a
can't
360
bring
iframe.
Brawl into this conversation because the character's just ridiculous.
Okay, but my point
his
is,
passive
if we
doesn't
remove
take
mana
you.
from mana's just a limitation of a character. Like that's all it is. Like
But on some
should
characters it should be,
able to
like-
function it.
Like in League of Legends, for instance, there's certain characters who have mana who don't ever have mana issues, right? And there's some characters who are super reliant on mana, like tends to be mages and like healing supports like that need mana items or like mana regen items. But characters that are like melee tanks who use mana generally tend not to need mana items because they're not mana intensive, and that's the way, in my opinion, it should be.
Okay, I see your point.
And also like I'll say one last thing about the mana is that for new players, the biggest thing I noticed, like when we did those journalist games, the biggest
Yeah.
thing I noticed that every time I ran into one of those players, they were always permanently Every doesn't matter what character, they were always And like as a new player, if you don't understand how the mana system works and you don't have a mana blade, it's like super punishing when you use your cooldowns. You just instantly. So I think that for a new player experience, the mana needs to be rebalanced for sure.
I don't like looking at stuff from a new player experience angle.
Yeah, then you just I mean, whatever.
Did you?
I was speaking to this with Mithy, where it's like new player experience needs to be important, but also what people feel at 100 and 1,000 hours is equally as important. Because if you just make the game entirely for new people, and then new people might think, I'm going to use this example because I'm a cocksucker, but they might think, oh, Brawl's fine because they don't have some guy like Jesus on Brawl running around. But when you get to 100 hours and everyone's on 100 hours and you play against this guy on Brawl, he's just the unkillable Demon King flying across your screen, one-shotting you from out of vision and whatever, then it's like, oh, maybe this isn't cool. So I don't think everything, like you're saying, this mana system for new players needs to change. But when they get to 100 hours, if this character's like, imagine there's a character that isn't mana intensive but has high mobility or has something they can abuse because their mana isn't affecting them. It's just a bit cringe.
I mean, I can see that, but I don't. I think that you can balance mobility and mana costs like pretty reasonably. Like maybe like I feel like even if a brawl never like had infinite mana, I don't feel like its movement's that different to what it is now, right? Like especially, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously part of this
no,
patch you can just hit trees and you get mana back,
yeah,
which is just like
Which is
it's completely
GG.
crazy. Like that is ever an idea, but I'm gonna assume it was a bug, even though I'm pretty sure he said it wasn't.
it
But I'm
is
just
a
gonna
bug.
assume it was a bug.
It is a bug.
Okay, well, sure,
I've
whatever you say.
spoke to Mr. Joshua Morris.
Okay, well, fair enough.
being
Then, fair
reviewed.
enough. But I feel like I don't know whether like mana being limited for mobility is like a way to balance like mobility. I'd rather just balance mobility, just have the CDs be like relatively balanced with each other, which I
For
think,
chase and
to be
catch,
fair, they
like if
are. I think chasing outside of Brawl, I think, and like outside of like Void and Gunner, who have really shit mobility, like I think most of the characters have pretty reasonable levels of mobility compared to each other. There's
I mean,
like
this
circumstances.
Abyss specialist, I don't know. If
Well,
this
okay,
is
well,
a
yeah, but
specialist
if you're looking at
power.
powers, it's totally different. Like Storm with a bit
Yeah,
specialist on the train tracks is like it's just ridiculous, right? But like,
not playable.
I'm talking like vanilla with no powers. Like I feel like most characters in the game can chase and catch relatively reasonably with each other, right? Like there's
Yeah,
certain terrains where like Myth is completely uncatchable, right? If she just runs through a giant wall twice, you can't ever catch her. And stuff like that. So I think it's like balanced, but obviously there's certain characters like if you remember the previous patch Stalker, when every left LMB he could just jump afterwards
Oh,
and like
yeah,
fly.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was like it broke the game because you could never catch the guy and you could never escape the guy, and that's kind of what Brawl's like right
Yeah.
now. But I don't think that's something that's gated by mana rather than it should be gated around like cooldowns.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I mean, it's a valid point for sure. I mean, about powers though, what powers are good right now? What powers do we? Because I mean, this Mohr guy,
It's on the phone.
yeah, he's on the phone, the telephoner.
Oh wait.
No, this guy's a cocksucker.
I mean, I'll start. I think like obviously like of the exotic powers at least to start there. I don't know if it's the best way to start, but like radioactive, like for sure needs to get gutted. That shit is so ridiculously overpowered. Like someone's orange armor, you play Myth, you land one LMB, all their armor's gone. You step in the E for like 1 second, it's gone.
It'll get nerfed.
Yeah,
That
like
one's
it is nerfed by the way, because it was 10x before, now it's 9x. I didn't realize that.
There's no way we thought that was good enough.
Nah, there's no way. Like, I think even if
So
it was
amazing.
5x, I think it's still too strong.
Yeah,
I think like
Adrenaline Rush is
3 to
dog
4x is like pretty reasonable. Like
What are
like
the red
with like
packs
the
for?
3 set kaiju, I feel like that's reasonably balanced. But that's I feel like it's way harder to get 3 kaiju items than it is to get radioactive.
Yeah, one radioactive. Yeah, because radioactive's just OP, man. Just so broken.
Yeah,
But-
that needs to go.
Yeah, I don't know how you can balance it. Because even if it's 4x or whatever, it's still broken. By the way, because think about an endgame circle with 4 or 5 teams, and there's just one cocksucker spamming fucking
Freaking
Flonade
every-
over the wall. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not
but
saying
is
it's
it
pretty
that much
OP,
more
but-
broken than having like a stasis slam or a be kind rewind on a brawl? Like, I don't know.
Well,
I
I
don't
think-
know.
I think the annoying thing is that like there's not a ton of ways to like manage your armor economy in this game. Like in Apex, you have like batteries, you have cells, you have
Yeah.
whatever. Like armor is a very, very important part of the game, and in this game, it's like all you can do is either kill people and pick up plates, or repair on the bonfire, or buy a new armor, right? So when there's like this radioactive item in the game, it feels like as long as they keep pressure on you, there's
Yeah.
just it's not playable. It's just not like
It's not
like-
even interactive because someone's just being a
Yeah.
cocksucker spamming you over a wall. Like, fuck off. Man.
I also think it's really like or something that I would always complain about. I think in feedback with it is like, okay, so I took the risk to go get the tier 5 armors this game, right? And let's say I got a PvP key too, but I didn't get a radioactive. This guy just like landed in buttfuck nowhere outside of harm, got a PvP key because they fought like one random team across the way, and theirs was radioactive. So like he just like him getting that one lucky like PvP chest like just counteracts like the entirety of getting like landing tier
Yeah.
5s and fighting for it and taking the bigger risk, and that like didn't sit right with me. I think maybe I'm a bitch. I don't know.
I just think
I
like
think
it just
that's
needs a nerf, right? I think like the design of
Yeah,
it's
I
fine.
just think it's
like
way
it's
too
just
strong.
tuned way too high. Because like you get like blink dagger on KP, all of a sudden you're Jesus reincarnated. Like that shit's really
Yeah.
like really OP on, and like certain
Yeah, but at
characters
least
just
that's a
scale really well
cooldown.
off. What do you say?
At least that's a cooldown. The
Yes,
problem
that's
with
true.
radioactive
Yeah,
is
it's perma on.
it's just like you're gonna spam me anyway. But you're just perma spamming me, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's not. I can see you have radioactive, but what can I actually do? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think if it was 3x, do you think it would still be OP?
Yeah. I
Like,
do
do you mean
too.
like it would be like OP? Like you have to compare it to other exotic powers. Okay, yes, it's better than like Adrenaline Rush, but Adrenaline Rush is like
Garbage. It's
like
not really
so
It's
powerful.
dog shit.
playable.
It's insane. But like, is it better than Be Kind Rewind? Is it better than like the Red GA? Is it better than Stasis,
I
Blink
think it's
Dagger,
really
etc.?
hard to
Because I think
compare
I think
these
at that
things
point
though.
it's like super. Because I feel like if it's 3x, you have enough time where you see a team with radioactive. Your goal is to just push them fast before they get a chance to poke you, and your armor's not going to break instantly during the fight, right? Whereas like right now with
Yeah, but
10x, if even if you push the team with radioactive with full orange armor, all it takes is like the Huntress to land like 3 abilities and everyone's armor's broken, right?
I think my problem with it is though, like, say you have gone gold and the other team did get radioactive, even if it's 3x, right? Right, let's imagine a guy has blink and I see his blink. Like, I know he has blink and I know that's a cooldown he's going to use, and when he's used it, it's done. But this cocksucker over the wall can just spam me until Jesus is reincarnated for a third time, and I just have to sit there and take it. And there's not. It's not like when Ronin goes in and he has rewind. I know he has rewind. You know what I mean? I can stun him and try and kill him before he gets off, or I can force him to use it, or whatever. This radioactive thing, it's just like a pure passive where some like fuckhead is just going to be a fuckhead forever, and I just have to deal with it. And I've won it, and my gold armor it's 3x, but it's still fucked because they're just going to spam me. And if it's 3 teams left, it's like you're saying, oh, just go on them before. Imagine it's comp 3 teams left. We're playing a little triangle, and you're forcing me to go on these guys, and you know I'm just going to get third partied. So how is this fair?
I don't know. I mean, I just think if you nerf it, I think if you nerf it to 3x, I don't think it's like I don't think it's like even close to as impressive as it is now. Like,
It's not, but it's still just like with
I mean,
Kaiju,
still be
where you
good.
have to
I
get
feel like your
3.
argument is just like remove passive powers from the game altogether, though. Like, you could extrapolate
No,
that.
because red GA is fine because there's like there's things that need to happen. Someone needs to die and go to a box, and then I have to walk over the box. If they want to stop the res, they can walk over the box to cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's conditional. This thing, it's not conditional at all. You don't have to use it. It's just on perma, which isn't fun to play against.
So would you rather just remove the power altogether?
I mean,
I'd
yeah,
be
I
down.
think it's
No
fine
cap.
on Kaiju.
I would be
Like,
down. I would.
Yeah,
be
I would be
down.
down too because on Kaiju at least it's like it's so rare that you get like these. You need 3, right? Because if you
Yeah.
get 2, it's like double damage to creeps. You need 3 Kaiju powers, which is like unless you get Replicator, probably
Yeah,
not happening.
I think I got it once in the last test.
Yeah, exactly. It's so rare. I'd rather we up that to like 4x or whatever and make that stronger and just get rid of radioactive. 'Cause at least that's so hard to obtain and it's so strong anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. Radioactive.
What about other
I
powers?
just don't think it.
Sorry,
Red
go on.
powers.
Go on. Continue more.
No, I was just saying I just don't think it belongs in the game. Like I think with the like the economy you can have with armor and like your plates, it doesn't belong. It's just like no way it's that is fair or like being.
There's no
Yeah, I mean,
counterplay. Is the problem.
it's like it's not like I can go hide from it and pop another bat and try again or something. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's like, oh, well, I'm out of armor and this cocksucker is just gonna chase me around the map and I'm never gonna get it back
He's
up.
saying
and I'm just-
cocksucker
I
now as
can't
well.
play the game.
You've corrupted him.
You can't. No, I gave Treadzy that.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
But it's like, yeah, I mean, what can you do? Like, I think when you have that item on things with like a lot of range and like spammability, like you put it on this fucking bishop character, this myth character, stuff like that, it becomes like really annoying and oppressive. But it's still good. Like it just doesn't matter where it is. It's still good. Like you can put it on a shiv and the shiv daggers into your team and presses ult and magically 4 fucking armors have disappeared and like you're all turned into a loot box. It's like, I don't know. I just think it's too.
I think all other red powers are fine though. I don't have a problem with the rest.
Adrenaline Rush needs a buff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
that thing
delete
needs,
it, bro.
that thing
from the
needs
game.
fucking god. Yeah, just come out with a new one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the old
Someone
one was
said it-
the old one was like OP, right? It wasn't like a passive. I remember what
Yeah,
the
you
other one was.
got
Well,
unlock it reset.
Or was it
one
like
of them
instant? I
was
remember.
like, one was like if you downed an enemy, you would get your cooldowns back. Right, that was like one, and then there was a second version that you could pop. Like that was the passive. That was like the old one. It was like good still, But then they came out with the one that you would pop it, and if you down somebody, you could
Yeah,
pop it
reset it.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then you have the Weedle clip of him fucking shib-ulting 7 times in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you combo that with like Be Kind Rewind, and it would like reset the CD of it, and it was just like I remember one game with the old Be Kind Rewind as well, it, like reset all your CDs. I had 2 Be Kind Rewinds on Storm, and it's just like you're just dashing in ult, dash ult, dash ult, dash ult, and it's just ridiculous.
I don't have a problem with any of the other red powers though.
What about non-red powers?
This specialist needs a
Yeah.
cooldown.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's fix
The
this.
Berry
item.
Eater, holy fuck
Yeah,
that
green
power.
thumb berry eater. Let's delete this from the game.
Get it
Yeah.
out of the fucking game, man. It's just
Very
too
solid.
good.
It's so much fun though. It's like when you get it, you just run it down, and it is
Is it
broken. Like it is for sure broken. I think Hover Wings as well needs a nerf, like for sure.
I think it
Yeah.
needs I think
Longer
it needs
CD.
like a change with like longer CD for sure. But I think it like I don't know if we want to. I know they love the sandbox kind of vibe, but like you know like hover wings through like Wind Ring or like this RJ shit like where you like R&B and then
And then
hover
fly to
wings
the
or
moon.
like that shit or like you do it off the jellyfish is really OP too. I don't know how like I don't know where you want to draw the line, but I think there's got to be some kind of it because some of them are just like super fucked, and I'm not a fan.
I don't know. Other one. What ones do we think are good? Because I remember Mohr being a cocksucker with like 2 anti-mobility fields end game.
Yeah,
in last
yeah,
show
that
match.
power
That
is
was
good.
cool.
I
That
feel like that
good.
power is like super jank the way. Like I feel like conceptually it's really good. Every time I try to use it, it just feels so weird to use.
No,
Like
there's
doesn't
this
throw
one
very
EU
far.
game, great.
Besides that, like grappling hook is really good on set. Like grappling hook like makes or breaks some characters. Like Oathbreaker with grappling hook is like twice as strong as when he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Because you can just
Yeah.
fully charge LMB into grappling hook and just slap somebody for like 900 damage, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know how I feel about like certain characters just being super reliant on powers.
Health packs is good too.
Yeah, health packs is on certain characters like on freeze it's like really OP.
I think they're just good in general. I think GA is like super good too.
Yeah, GA is. I feel like obviously the ideal balance is that the best powers are the purple powers and then the blue powers and then the white powers, right? Or the green then white.
Dude,
Yeah.
capture ball is so good though.
Yeah.
Get a mini Mohr. I get this
Said
little
green
pocket
power,
Mohr.
yeah, you
bro,
get the
just
mini
get the
Mohr.
jellyfish, bro.
Yeah,
That's the
jellyfish.
tech.
But everybody calls it the Mohr, bro. You gotta get the little healer guy.
Yeah, the little
Is it
Mohr.
B?
Or you get Gromp, you get the little frog.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gromp,
dude,
yeah,
you have 2
yeah,
kingpins
Gromp.
in the final circle. It's so
Yeah.
You start hooking both foes. That guy goes crazy. I mean, group TP's blue, right? And that's probably like in show match or like.
I mean
comp
that, yeah, I was gonna say
especially.
that like I feel like powers like nuke and group TP are like show match powers. Like I feel like nuke and group
Yeah.
TP in pubs are like pretty much useless. Like, you just never need them if you're just running people down. But when you get to show matches, like nuke especially, I think is like super broken in show matches. When everyone just places their bonds down, you just nuke their bond on CD, and there's not much you can really do about it.
I mean, how has everyone's like comp experience been so far? Like show matches, etc. I mean, maybe I'll start because I've won the most.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me
I
on
haven't
this.
played as much as you.
I haven't
I
played as
think
much as you either.
I think it's 12, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's 12.
More like 4.
Plays in European that region.
It could be 11, but I think it's 12 because I think I've won 12. Nizer's won the most actually. Who I play with, he's won one more because he won one with Mohr the other day.
Yeah.
So shout out that guy. But I think the last set or the last EU one especially because I watched the NA one, I didn't play in it, was like the toughest competitive environment so far. Chips is laughing.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's
Okay.
just shifted into the heart.
No, I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about it.
GG. This guy
Yeah, what
came
happened, bro?
prepared.
I lagged. It was a bug.
Must have been a glitch.
It's tragic, bro. Like Hot Biscuit walks into a KP in a bush, dies, and then I don't want to talk about it. It's not a good experience.
I guess so. What were we talking about, Ethan?
I mean, I think that last one had the most teams going into end game that I see. Like that's what I imagine in like 3 months. Every game will look like.
Yeah.
Like 5 teams in a zone, the size of fucking something really small. I don't know.
You're
But
dumb.
like, yeah, like it was just crazy, man. And everyone's just spamming each other. I think it's kind of toxic. I don't know if it's because everyone's a pussy and no one wants to send us hard, but I think sometimes it's really stale when it's just like 4 teams all looking at each other.
Well, I think part of the issue is I feel like in this game it's way harder to run away from a fight than it is to chase. So like you can kill a team early, or like not kill a team, like kill three and then the last guy runs. But it's like so hard to actually chase down that last guy, which eventually just means there's so many teams in the circle. I feel like if the early mid game, like I mean this is a dilemma I've had, right? Do you make it easier to chase people and finish off teams, make it harder to res, less options? Because I think it makes the show match meta more enjoyable, because I think this having less teams in the final circle is better. But then at the same time, it kind of defeats like one of the core identities of the game, in my opinion, is the fact that you can res like in 5,000 different ways. So I don't know. I don't really know how you fix this like show match like turtle meta, because I think the other way is to like incentivize people getting kills,
There's no
either
kill
through like
points.
what do you say?
There's no kill points.
Yeah,
That's
but
part of the
like
problem.
I mean, in show matches, I think show matches aren't really like relevant in terms of like rank, like high level competitive, because there needs to be kill points in a BR game in order to make it succeed. Otherwise, it would just become uber boring, because everyone would just play super turtle comps because there's no value to get kills. I think the other option is either obviously get kill points as a reward. Also, I think that the value for killing a team, I think, should be more. I think what I really recommend the devs is like to add like the Evo shield system in Apex, where like your shield upgrade, like your armor upgrades based on how much damage you do. I think that is the system that would be good for the game. I think it
This
incentivizes the
doesn't incentivize kills though. It
well.
I've
incentivizes
already being a
being a
cocksucker,
cocksucker.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I've already talked with Bid about it, because like Bid introduced it in Apex or whatever, and
Uh-huh.
it's like really hard to justify in this game. I don't know if they've tried it or not internally, but I've talked a bit about it. He was saying something like in Apex, it's really easy to justify because you have unlimited range, and it gives players like an option to upgrade it at whatever range that may be, right? Like they snipe it across the map, and they're still getting something for it. They just wanted to like incentivize shooting people from like, I guess outside of like close quarter kind of things, and it made people feel like just because I'm shooting somebody, like I'm getting rewarded for it. As like before, it felt like, why am I shooting these guys? Like, why should I be expending
It's just a waste of
resources, right?
ammo.
They gave
Yeah.
you like a reason to use your ammo, right? So that was why it was like, but
Well,
I
the
don't know.
problem in this
I
game
said the
is
same thing.
is it not that characters operate at different ranges? So like Huntress,
Yeah.
who's just going to press E over a wall and farm 20k damage.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you don't have to have it tied to damage, though, right? You can have it tied to kills or knocks or something else, right? Like you don't have to have it just tied to damage. Like you get a knock, it progresses like your like when you pick up a weapon off the floor, right? Like it progresses
Yeah.
your
The bullets.
your tier or whatever, like something like that. Or the other option would be, I don't know, this seems OP, but like you use shards to upgrade the armor. Then I feel like you just never upgrade your weapons, so you
Kind
just
of
always
OP.
upgrade your armor. That would be OP.
I mean, part of my problem with this is, well, it's not my problem with this. I don't like the system that you're suggesting anyway. But if PvP key was not dog shit, you wouldn't have this problem. But the thing is, you could kill a whole team, not get a key. Right, that's an option. You could kill 8 people and not get a key.
Mhm.
It's just straight RNG, right? Because to reward you for kills, to make competitive less stale, killing people needs to be heavily rewarded. But you kill a whole team and you get nothing, or you kill a whole team and you do get a key, but the key is in Narnia,
Yeah.
and there's 9 teams across the map between you and that chest. So even though you killed the team and got the reward, you're never actually gonna get to that chest because it's just where does it spawn? Oh, anywhere. That's cool, right? But right, my suggestion was after X amount of kills, you get a key. So kill 4 people, get a key, like guaranteed. If your team has an arbitrary number, and then make there be static spawns for where you can redeem the key. If you know what I mean? So
Like the
it's
same
not
as the
just
golden
RNG where a
chests?
chest is. Yeah, or like where forges used to be, and you could always go to a forge.
Yeah.
Imagine if all the forges were just filled up with a dude. You give him the key, he gives you a power.
And then he scams you 50% of the time.
Yeah, now he
GG.
doesn't.
Yeah,
You don't
GG.
get scammed
Dude, that's not 50%. That's like 90, bro.
because it's not a bug.
I swear, I was opening straight fucking blanks test.
Yeah, that was fucking bullshit, but whatever. But I think that's part of the problem with PvP. You're not rewarded. But I think if you get rewarded in like with this armor thing you're suggesting, I just think it's going to influence snowball meta in pubs super hard, and that is
Yeah.
not cool.
I agree with that. It's like finding the balance between like rewarding playing aggressive versus like, oh, you just killed 2 teams and all of a sudden you're just like so much stronger than everyone else in the lobby that the fact that you just run people over and stat check people. But I do think this game is pretty good in the way like it's not that stat checky in the grand scheme of things because the TTK like is relatively short and pretty much everything in the game is like a skill shot. So you can still outplay teams. I think obviously the gap between level 4 and level 5 is really huge. Uh, whether or not that changes, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what it would be like if there's like an end circle where all 4 teams have like full orange armor. I think that would
Would
probably
you,
lessen the relevancy of dropping heart, which I guess is not good. I don't know. I always say like there's 2 ways to incentivize playing aggressive. Either you incentivize it with more rewards in terms of like out of game rewards, like more points in ranked or more points in a competitive system, or you incentivize it by making your character significantly stronger. So maybe like the strategy is like you buff the PvP key, like you said, like let's say like when you wipe a squad, you always get a PvP key, and the PvP chests are way easier to find and they give way better shit. Like maybe they drop 1 orange armor or 2 blue armors or something like that every time. Plus they give you like a power, right? Some sort of
yeah.
like buff to the PvP chest system, and also making them like less obnoxious to just run across the map. I think is a way you can incentivize that. Other than that, I really don't know. Like I do still think like the Evo Shield system is something that should be thought about,
Explored.
and
Yeah.
and I think it should be tested for sure. Um, but we'll see.
Would you say your show match experience up to this current point, or like competitive experience, has been more passive or more aggressive?
In like compared to what we play in pubs, or just like compared to the other teams?
Uh, I'd say with it, so compared to other teams, like in general.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we generally play more aggressive than most teams. Like I think most show matches we have like most damage in the lobby. Like unless we die instantly, I jump into the heart, then it's different. But
Yeah.
like, but obviously there is a degree of like, I mean, we don't really play the show match like that try hard. Like in terms of the way we play our comp, like we still play Shrike, which I think is kind of like troll in show matches. I think you can play it, but I just don't think it's like optimal. We just try to play our game and try to snowball kills. But obviously, when everyone's good, you can't just run over teams the same way. I mean, we still win every 4v4 we take, even in
Sure,
show
but you.
matches.
Uh huh.
Mhm.
Yeah, Finn.
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
but but yeah, like I just don't enjoy the passive play. Like I don't enjoy like the Dunmere style of gameplay, right? Where like there's 3 teams left and he has 12 damage. Like to me, that's just like not enjoyable way to play the game. And I understand that it's probably the best way to play the game. Like I think the optimal way to play the game
No.
is drop orange, fight the team orange, and then you just play like a pussy the rest of the game with the orange armor. You don't take any damage in your orange armor. You just play for like objectives and farm up. Like second it turns night 2, you're instantly level 6. The second the soul spawns, you're on the spawns, the soul's asshole. You take the soul, and you just play like a pussy and let the other teams fight. Um, but I just don't think that's fun, and I also don't think it should be rewarded, and I don't think it will be rewarded in the future. I think at least in ranked, like kill reward is so high compared to placement reward. Like as long as you get like top 3, um, as long as you get like the 20 kill bonus, and I think like you're being chilling, which I think is a better system. So yeah, I mean, I would say we play relatively aggressive compared to most teams.
What about you, Mohr?
Well, I think do a little balance of both. I think it's like more controlled. I think we do a lot of what like Chips just said. We'll land. Maybe it won't be tier 5 every game. Some games will be Kaiju Vault. It'll just be like just good stuff to where if we make it to late game as 4, we could probably win the 4v4 if we have powers. Is like our kind of mindset on it. And so you land, you get your Kaiju Vault, you go for a double vault. Like day 2 comes, you get whatever, you get 6, you run to a soul, and from here it's like during that whole like early game time, you're just like you're buying jump pads, you're buying armors, you're making sure you have food, a bonfire, like sustainable powers that will like can win you fights or at least like hold area. And I mean from there you like fight for soul or you take a soul. And I think this is where like I think a lot of people have it wrong and they're like, oh, you should just AFK. But I think once you like if you built this like tempo up early game, especially or like in Supervive, where you are like much stronger than other teams, you can just bitch them out of whatever spot like you want, or you can bitch them into other teams, or you can you can take the 4v4. Maybe you'll get third party, but there's so much ways to like gather info and like get a read on where every team is in the circle, and like scanners are available. They're a super big part. And like if you ever get Kaiju Eye or Bubba's, it makes like playing this like controlled kind of like aggressive play style like super good. And there's always kind of like a reason to do something, I guess, or you always have a reason. I really like how much like info this game can give you because it makes making these decisions like easy, I guess.
Is that the same as you'd play in Apex? Like, is it similar to other
Uh,
BRs?
I think in Apex, it's way like when I played Apex, the game was not aggressive like at all, right? It was very very like there was only a few teams that would play edge and like fight, and everybody else was pretty much like zone team, and you would just scan zone and you would rotate as fast as you could, and then like you're kind of fighting from whatever your like chosen spot was
Yeah,
that
like you
game,
sat in
right?
a
So like
house or something.
yeah, you sit in your house, you have your Watson gen, right? It was Watson meta. Uh, it's just like you were playing safe and you just tried to have the best read on the circle and the best rotates like going until it stopped closing. You know what I mean? So I think it was a lot slower at first. So I think this game is a little bit faster than like that if you're gonna put like time comparison on them, right?
Yeah.
But now Apex, right, is like a very very aggressive game and you have to fight for everything. Players are very aggressive.
You think that just comes with play type? Is that because
Yeah.
players got better?
Well, players got better, and two, people like finally realized like how fucking broken kills are, right? So it's like people just go for like these like huge snowball fights, or like they'll take like getting like wiping a squad or two over getting like a fifth with one kill or something, right? So it's like it just depends. Like people start realizing like, oh wow, if we suck up all of this like resource in the map and then we go play edge and we look for other teams, like we probably have more loot than them, right? So a lot of teams kind of like go in this kind of idea of just like fighting people for shit instead of just like turbo rotating with the no loot because it's impossible to win the game.
You think like controlled aggression, like the play style you describe, you think that's the optimal way to play, like quotation marks?
Well, what like in Loki
In
or in
Supervive,
Supervive?
yeah.
I think it's good. It's probably like ideal. I think like ChipSa's team, right? They're just like you guys are fucking apes. You guys just fucking run at everything, and it is what it is. I think like Treadzy's team, you guys are like pretty like
Pussies.
you got your shit, and then you're just gonna try to make it the end game,
Yeah.
right? And then I think ours, like we don't take a ton of fights, right? I'm not saying like oh wow we do it the best or whatever, probably do, but I think some teams just don't know what to look at, like look for in show match games of like, wow, like I could have had this spot in the circle if I just bitched this team off or fought this team when it was like a secluded 4v4 or, like forced them away. And I think it's like the same example we go over the other day when you guys had like a battle rotate in a year or whatever. It's like if you would have just fought the North team, right? And like shown a little bit of aggression, you could have been in a way better spot like moving forward. Right.
Just people can't process the information yet without the experience. I think
Yeah,
it's part
yeah.
of the problem.
I think also like the default like we talked about the Dunmere syndrome, like it's like your default when you're because like when your default like thought process is like, oh, I just have to win this game, I don't have to fight anybody, right? It's like I just have to win, but like to win you have to fight people, right? And I think that's what like Dunmere didn't get in the situation, right?
Yeah.
You have to fight this team, like you're not winning, like you've been
especially
chosen.
when you're at a higher power level, or when you have no choice. It's like the two like part. Like either you're forced to fight because like everyone's a cocksucker, right? They're not gonna, bro. This is not a hotel. You cannot live here.
Yeah, you cannot. Yeah.
Like you're gonna get kicked the fuck out, bro. But also, if you're really strong, you need to be the guy telling other people to fuck off now because like you live here, they don't.
How it works. I think there's a lot to do with like power level or whatever, right? But
yeah, I think we don't abuse that enough as a team sometimes. Like our downfall, like when we looked at that one, like I think early game, because generally we'll drop stacks every game.
Yeah.
Because we really like it, right? And everyone dies when they come, so it's fine. We'll just keep going until we start losing. But early game, we really try and push our lead because we know we're 6 and there's like 3 volts on the way, so we know we'll have powers. And we can go buy like 4 greens for 2k each, it's whatever. Like we're on gold, we're only down like 10% damage reduction, right?
Yeah.
So we'll probably get a couple blues and whatever along the way. So we know we're chilling, and then when we have like all our ults before other people, we want to try and get a PvP key real quick, right? So if anyone's nearby, we're gonna try and hunt those kills down. But then I think the problem is after that, when it gets to that end game, everyone like defaults into this passive mindset because when you could see everyone like all 5 teams on my screen next to me, it's hard. Like there's like a block in my brain. Maybe like I catch Dunmere syndrome late game. If I see the team above me and I see the team below me, my brain automatically tells me, and I'm guessing this is similar for a lot of players, that if I go on the team above me, I'm just gonna get third partied anywhere. But I think the thing is, what you need to realize is if you don't have to kill them, right?
Yeah, you
You
said to
either
make
tell
them
them
fuck
to
off.
fuck off. Yeah.
Yep.
Or
It's
even
a
at
bitch
that,
check.
if you do kill them, it's not like the other team behind you might have a team behind them, so they can't move either. You know what I mean? I think you need a lot of context in the zone, which is hard to get without experience.
Yeah, but it's also like shit I told you about, like playing freeze and like playing proactive. Yeah, I mean, like you can get way more info than the rest of your team can, so like it kind of makes these decisions much easier. And also people like utilizing like the scan nades and jump pads and stuff. I just think there's a lot of ways in this video game that make you not feel fucked, I guess, or at least do something to not be like absolutely fucked. And I think that's something I really like in Supervive, because like
You
in,
think
in
jump pads
Apex
are
there's
too
going to be
OP?
some circles, right, where it's just like I'm just fucked, man. Like
Yeah.
there's just that there's no like my little legs aren't getting me in here, you know what I mean? So it's like I think that's something I really like about Supervive. It's like you kind of never feel out. I think there's like some situations obviously you do, but I think for at least in my experience, I don't think I've ever lost a game and been like, wow, I couldn't have done this here or put this there or used this kind of and it feels really good to.
You think jump pads are too OP, or you think they're fair?
I think they are turbo,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I think they're kind of a necessary. Be real.
I
It's
agree
like
with that.
if they exist, really good. It always gives you a way out, and not every comp or every like whatever or every position can get you out without one. So
I mean, it also gives you a
I
way
think
in,
they're
though, no?
I agree. I think
huh?
that's the biggest thing. I think it's like you're in a stalemate engage, especially if they're over a wall, there's a bit of circle. You can always just do a jump pad engage, and
Yeah,
yes, like you're probably still at a disadvantage jump pad engaging, but you're not at that much of a disadvantage
yeah,
because they can't snipe you out of the air because you're 20,000 miles in the sky, and if you have like a kingpin, you can just E down on the ground, slam somebody, kill them. Freeze can just ult in, etc., etc., and it's such a strong engage for such a low sort of risk investment type item. I think it's probably a bit too OP.
Okay, but it's part of the problem, not if you don't have if the jump pad isn't going to clear the wall or it's not going to put you in the air. How do we ever go in?
I
Now
agree.
we're just stuck on
That's
opposite
what I'm saying.
sides
It's
of
a
a
necessary
wall.
evil, right? Like it
Yeah.
promotes aggressive play, but it's probably maybe a bit too strong. I don't know. It's a
I don't
weird
know.
one.
I think like with how the map works, and there's just some spots you can't get over on certain comps. I think you need an item like jump pad, right? I think you have to have one in the game. Like maybe it's they're too cheap, maybe it puts you too
They are
high in
too
the
cheap.
air, maybe it's like what I mean, maybe it's something like that. But I don't care, right? I think they're super cool for the game. Like obviously, I think they're OP, but I think they're something that is needed.
Well, it's
I'd actually
part
be
of
more
why Void.
expensive.
Part of why I think Void is like super underrated and super good in show matches because he just kind of like has a pseudo jump
Yeah,
pad in his kit, right? Like you can always reposition out of bad situations all the time, and especially if you combo with like Celestial,
yeah,
you just use the combo just to secure an area, right? Because they are so scared of standing in that combo because it's instant death if you do that they have to see the ground towards you pretty much most of the time. So a jump pad just kind of act in a similar way to that, except probably less risky but less upside. So I don't know. It's a tough one. I probably think they're fine for the game, but they probably are too OP. But I think it's okay that they're OP.
What do you think about like drop spots right now? Because we spoke about gold armor, Kaiju Vault. Like we were going over this earlier, where we all drop. I
yeah,
don't think there's enough interesting
yeah.
places
There's
on the
not a.
map to go.
I think the fact that there are like single vaults and like double vaults, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
grind is a double vault. Hive, what's Hive called?
Under
The Underrot.
Yeah,
The
under right.
Underrot is a double vault, right? Like these are both like two double vaults, and then like single vaults are just so fucking bad that I think
Yeah.
like you know what I mean. It's like that those like for us, right? Like we love going Underrot grind, right? Like two double vaults, okay, but like there's some spots like Heart is a single vault, Grassland is a single vault, like the one above Site 38 or whatever, single vault. It's just like I think either there needs to be more double vaults like spread out across the map, or there needs to be like another like what is it, like a tentative spot or whatever. Like God, there's Kaiju in tier 5. Like there should be one more maybe,
I mean, there's
something like
stacks
that.
too, right? Which I think is
Yeah,
pretty
Stacks
value.
is just fucking OP. Like that
Yeah.
needs removed. Like
And then
let's be real.
there's blue
Uh,
armor as well.
Yeah, and then there's one blue armor vault. But like, I think there needs to be like a little bit more, and there should be more double vaults in the game because I think single vaults like they just have to roll super high for it to even be like doable. It's like
Well, I think
I don't know.
like generally the way we drop like Site 38 Prisma, one of the two, because there's always a blue armor vault in either Mana
Yeah, it's
Coils, Iron Acres, and Heart. Like one of those three always has a
yeah,
blue
one of
armor, and
the
you
three.
also have a really high chance of finding an armor key, like the little minion armor key guy, which gives you. It used to give you 5k, but it only gives you 2k now. But it gives you the armor key. So pretty much like you can pretty much always come out of those places with full blue armor, or at least like two blues, two greens, right? Is probably the worst case scenario. And you also can get access to, like 3 or 4 vaults. Like obviously, like you said, like the vaults tend to not be as good because they're only single vaults. But it also places you like really central in the map, right? Like it puts you right in the middle. Like Heart is like the center of the map, right? And there's a UAV right there, so it allows you to hit 4. Then we go like generally we drop, we hit 4, we fight a squad who's there, or we fight a squad there before we hit 4. Then we just run between like we run straight to the blue armor vault. We do that and we kill anyone that's with us. Then we just go to the UAV and just hunt people on the first day. Now I granted that's more of like a pub strat, right? Just running down noobs all the time. But
Yeah.
I do agree that like certain spots are like really OP. I think like stacks. I mean, it's not as OP as it once was, but it was so disgusting like
Yeah.
2 patches ago when
My only
you
problem
get like
is
level 8 out of it. It was just outrageous.
yeah,
But
you can still get
the
7.
thing with orange armor drop and stacks, a lot of the time it just puts you in Narnia compared to the rest of the lobby, right? Which is if you're playing for kills, it's kind of bad. Like you drop on orange. Let's say there's one other team that drops with you. You kill that team. Okay, you have 1 kill, but then everyone else is in fucking Narnia. So you have to run so far across the map in order to actually get into action that your kills tend to be less. At least from my
Yeah, but
experience.
it just puts you ahead, right?
Yeah, like if you're winning the game, I think dropping orange, like if your play is like a show match game where it's either you win or you don't, then dropping orange is probably always the best play. Because even if you go out and this is also like for the weekly wins as well, like why I dislike weekly wins, because if you want to go weekly wins, you always drop orange because you either win orange or you die instantly, and then you just queue up again, right? So if you want to go for
I
weekly
mean,
wins, you always
we
drop
never
orange.
go orange, and Adamark had the most, and we
Yeah, but
barely ever
Adamark's a
go orange.
min-maxing though, bro. Like that's illegal, bro. He's playing with full EU squad and EU, full NA squad and NA. That's like
Well,
cheating, bro.
I had second most at the end of like
And
the
you
last
were
one.
min-maxing as well.
I was not. No. I played with different people on
Yeah,
NA
but you
every
still were
game,
playing
though.
with some NA teams on NA, right? But like, you see my point.
I
Like,
played with you.
you played with us for like 3 hours, bro.
Yeah, and then I played with new players.
Sure.
So
But
like,
like the point I'm making is that like in a format where all that matters is if you get first or nothing else matters, I think like dropping orange is OP. But I think in a format where there's kills, I think there's better places to drop. I
I
mean, there's
just
still situations to drop orange. Like if it's right over the path of the plane and you want to drop orange, like sure. But like
I
sometimes
just
you have
think
to
there
drop
needs
and
to
you have
be
to like
more
glide
things.
across. It's eh.
Yeah, but that's what you like. That so, like going into end game. If you get orange, one team has like claimed that thing, and they have that advantage throughout the whole game now. But a lot of other things on the map, you drop there, and it's like short-term gain. Like sure, you have these blue armors, but by the time you get to the end, it doesn't really mean anything.
Why do
You
you
know
say
what I
that?
mean?
Why do
Well,
blue
because
armors not
when you get
matter
to
towards
the
the end
end,
game? Like blue armors are really good
because
though.
everyone's gonna have it.
Yeah, but that's fine though. Like yes, you don't have orange armor, but the gap between blue and orange armor isn't that big, right?
Yeah.
Like the biggest difference in my opinion is the fact it has an extra health bar, right? Like so it lasts much longer
Yeah.
than the blue armor. But like it's also then the pseudo is cheaper to repair. But I don't think it's a massive difference. I
No,
think
but my
like
main point is, it's not the difference between them. It's that the drop spots around the map. There's not enough stuff that only one team can have to then go through the entire game. It's like, oh, this team has this, or that team has that. There's like gold armor,
that's
and there's
it.
souls.
Yeah, but like souls you don't drop on a soul, right? Because you don't know what the soul
Yeah,
spawn.
exactly.
So I mean I agree, but I think like the gold armor part, like being the sort of the pinnacle end game, like early game thing that scales throughout the entire game, I think it's like fine. As for like
Yeah,
more stuff, I don't think anything should. I think if you want to get as strong as possible, you should be not forced to, but like significantly incentivized to drop gold every game. Because I think it's like I think there's an argument to make just the only way you can get gold armor is by dropping there. Like I think that's fine. Like I think if you add the Evo system, you could cap it at blue, and I'd be fine with that. Um, but yeah, like I mean, like this play like Unearth was it the one at the bottom left, like the desert place. Like yeah, you get loads of gold, but like gold is nice, but it's not like game winning the same way that like orange armor can
yeah,
be. In the kaiju vault, like sometimes you get a shit kaiju power, sometimes you get a sick one. You know, like
yeah.
it depends. Like it's super
Bit
RNG.
RNG. Okay, real quick. I think before we make this 2 hours long, we'll go over like one last point, which is like what is competitive so far, and where do we want to see it go. So I think a good place to start would just be this law tournament real quick. Which I know, I mean, we're laughing. There's not that much info out about it. I don't think the format's been solidified, but it's like the first tournament with a prize pool that I think we're all playing in. I have heard apparently the format is being changed, which people might not know. EU and NA is being split, 6 games on each. So
I mean, split is in like we don't have to play an A.
yeah, we don't play an A, and I
Thank
don't
fuck.
play EU.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing I think that I dislike about ranked is the fact that like how much it like where you finish in ranked is basically how it depends on how well you do on hyping region, which is not fun. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like making it separate regions is definitely like the way the start they have to go with it. So I'm excited for the tournament. I think it's hard to say, like we sit here and talk about what the meta is like, but at the end of the day, like none of us really have a fucking clue because
Do
we
you think
haven't played
tournaments in
much.
alpha is good? Like, is this a good thing that's going on? Like, I don't really know.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it can really
Yeah, it's not
cause
bad
any.
by any means.
It can't.
Yeah.
I don't think it can cause any harm.
Yeah.
Well, I know they had a
I mean,
problem with like people having an expectation of the game from seeing tournaments like off rip, like kind of like how the finals was, if you know what I mean, where it was super competitive at the start and it felt kind of harsh for casuals.
I
Fuck
don't
the
know.
casuals. Let me juice. GG.
Maybe. I don't know.
Man.
I don't think it's going to cause a big problem. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
excited
don't
for
see
it.
anything about it.
Just EU on top is all I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
As always.
Yeah, who won? Wait, who won the last EU show match?
Niza did.
Wait, that was
He
me.
won- he
That
won
was
before.
me. Wait,
Mate.
I'm the
Niza.
literal king of Europe, though. But I'm the literal king of
No,
Europe.
Niza is the king of
Like,
Europe. He's the
But like, Theorycraft literally tweeted it, so like, I'm the literal king of Europe.
yeah.
Well, that's the only
GG's.
competitive thing we have to look forward to. Is there anything else that you want to be like on the books, like any specific competitive thing? Like, I'm trying
I
to
don't know
think,
really.
like,
I mean, it's hard to just talk about or like hard to say what I want without the game being playable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every day, it's like obviously, I would want something like, there would either eventually
would
be
you
a
prefer
league
like
or
league
circuit
formats or
or a.
tournaments?
I prefer tournaments.
It depends how you do it. I like I like both, right? I think for a league it has to be ran really well by like Theorycraft, right? And I don't know if that's something that they would be interested in doing, and it's their first game as a company. So I think it would be more we're going like the tournament style, right? Is what I would think, But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think
It's just so hard without the game being out. It's like,
I think tournament
yeah,
style
when
is
they
much
come, they'll
like
come.
better long term as well. Like league formats like Overwatch League is obviously generally not a great example of a league. Like because if it's run by the company, it's like it's all artificial, right? Like as much as I love Overwatch, like that league was never going to succeed because it never really had a grassroots audience. Like it did in the past, but then it like all of like the Korean tournaments, like the Apex tournaments, were like fucking sick, right? Like they were the best tournaments
Yeah.
Overwatch has ever had, in my opinion.
Viewers love tournaments too, right? Over leagues, like as a viewer.
It's much more interesting, right? Like when you have like leagues, you end up having matches that no one gives a shit about. Like fucking like when Shanghai went 0-40, it was like midway through, like who gives a shit if they're facing London Spitfire? Like who's gonna win. Like it's an irrelevant match, and it's like with tournaments, there's way more drama. I think it's way more interesting. I think the way CS do their tournament format, or like I think the way tennis do tournaments, I think is the best way, where they have like
tennis.
yeah.
What are we at? How have we got tennis?
Well, like they have like 4 majors a year, right? Like they have the 4 like opens, like Australian, American, Wimbledon, like the French one. Like they have the 4 majors,
the
and then they
French
have
one.
like I don't know how many minors, like 10 or so minor tournaments, right? And CS do the same, I think, right? They have like 2 majors a year or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like 2 or 3.
I think it's the best way to do it because I think these majors get really hyped, but they're also it's not like League of Legends where there's one world championship, and then everything else is just kind of like domestically,
Well,
like who
they
gives a
have
shit who wins the
MSI.
LEC, who gives a shit who wins the LCS, like they're gonna get shit on by Korean and Chinese teams anyway. So like it's basically just like who's better between the Chinese and Korean teams. Like it's whereas a tournament, if it's like every 3 months there's a major tournament, I think is the best format, and I think it also is the most healthy format in terms of if the game is going to grow. Like it's like an outside investor is investing in this tournament. Like we're investing in hosting a Supervive tournament rather than the devs just like taking money out of the profit of the game and making
Okay,
an
but
artificial league.
I see. But as a viewer, I know you're saying you want like a few majors a year, but as a viewer, viewers love like I come from Dota, like TI, which is like it's like Worlds and League or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's bit like you'd be like, oh, there's one big tournament a year though. Yeah, but it's crazy. Like as a player, it sucks because if you don't make it to this one, you're going broke. But as a viewer, it's like, or like Worlds and League, it's like, this is sick.
Well, I don't think people like have that mentality about CS. That like I think people are just a CS for hype for every major, or like in tennis, like everyone's hyped for the Wimbledon as they are Australian Open, etc. Right, within reason. Like I mean, you could just do a system where there's three a year or two a year, and one of them is like the World
Yeah,
Championship,
but I
etc.
think
Like they do in League.
branding, to brand 3 a year is really hard. To brand the one really big one,
Yeah, sure, that's
like,
easier.
yeah.
But then what do you do the rest of the year though?
You just do a couple majors, a couple tournaments. Let fucking ESL or fucking Face It or someone host some shit, man. Just let it be third party.
Well, I agree. I think the most important thing is that it's like I think it should be third party all the way. Like if you want to do one hosted by the company, sure, but like I think having it run by third parties is just generally better than having it run by the company. Like
Yeah.
League, like League of Legends is like successful with them running it, but I think League is like the outlier. Like most games, like obviously Overwatch is like fucking disaster when it comes to them hosting it. Because it's just such a massive it's just such a big commitment, and it always tends to be artificial rather than like legit people want to watch because they want to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe it's time to wrap this up before we make this shit go 2 hours and this
Yeah.
goes Popeyes.
I
gets
agree.
fucking
Turbo. Yeah, dude, it's soiled, bro.
It's over.
GG.
So
Yeah, I'm down
So-
for that.
I would guess that the next one of these, it's going to be an assumption, will be probably before the patch. Well,
yeah,
before the next test when the patch drops.
Hopefully.
We'll talk about before then, right?
how cool I am.
Which will be before August 1st at some point.
Yeah.
Yippee. Bomba.
Well, thanks for watching
Bomba.
episode 1 of Vive Check. Next time, hopefully, we'll have a special guest as well, even better, and a better overlay because this is disgusting. But
It is
yeah.
disgusting.
Thanks for watching, guys. You have anything else you want to say before I end it?
Nope.
Twitch.tv/Treadzy.
No one's gonna watch the stream. Bro.
He's
right.
really good at going to make a sandwich,
He
guys.
is.
Yeah.
He's the best sandwich player in the
Professional
world.
sandwich maker.
Right. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.